Hi everybody, how are you? Welcome back to English Cut here at Warwick Hall. We've been very busy, you've probably gathered that. The very kind people who take the time to read our blog and see what we're up to. As you know, one of the things that makes us quite different from a lot of tailors is that we, of course, draft a pattern for every individual customer, which you can see hanging up behind me. But more interesting and more pleasurable for me is that we do each one freehand, rock of eye, different names, okay? So I'm actually going to show you one of those being done. This is a pretty standard pattern. We've drafted the back to save you time. Some of you will find it very interesting, some of you will find it like watching paint dry. So I'll try to be as brief as I can, but at least you will get the gist of it. And I know a lot of people ask what the differences are, and it's quite difficult to explain it in pictures and words. So anyway, we measure our client. We have about 20 measurements. Okay, we have a measurement form which takes down all the details and such like, and then we draft the pattern like so. All right, now then, I have the measurements for this in my head, by the way. It's not that hard, it's not rocket science. So basically we've created the back, okay, I've worked out my proportions for the side seam. So I get the shape of my side seam in, which is what I want at the moment. And I say at the moment because this is not an exact science, alright? So if you see me scribbling and changing things and doing things, that's what I do anyway. If I don't like the look of something, I'll change it, alright? Cloth is like a fluid. It's not steel. We can't cut it within millimeters and expect it to go together properly, okay? So I'm going to do this at 34 and 38. I'll do a 6 inch short there. So ignore me if I'm going quiet. I'm not going to go through all the measurements with you because you won't understand it. It's more a point of seeing how we do things. So, and excuse me counting on my fingers, but that way I make less mistakes. 19, 20, 3.5, all very technical. 20, 21.5. Okay. Now then, just checking my balance points at the moment. We have points, technical points that we look out for, and then we do our very best to make a pattern that looks elegant with nice lines, because if we do that much, it means that the tailor has something nice to sew together. Strangely enough, it might not fit properly for the fitting, but I've got this nice balance block which I can work at. Well, I'm not saying that's what we do with everything. Hopefully it goes together very well and fits very well, but it's not my priority. My priority is trying to make something look nice and balanced. All right, the technical side of it we shall follow after that. That's my front edge that I'm picking at the moment, just roughly. Okay. I'll work out my midpoint position. The tailors out there and cutters out there that are watching are cringing, I know. But you've probably gathered by now that I don't care that much, so this is what it is. But we find it seems to work very, very well. This is the balance relationship which I spoke about on earlier things, but in the pattern here, excuse our clock, the more we move the back up in relation to the front is for somebody with a stoop. The more you move it down, the more you create front balance, etc. But you get people that require back balance and front balance, but that's another story which we'll save for another day. Just fine tuning things a little bit here. This system is a lot quicker. Eventually, it's not that quick when you're learning it, but the results are quicker as it goes along. because it's a fluid type of system. Alright, and I do so much with the chalk and so much with my eye, and then I'll do different things with the shears. And this small shaped armhole. And an interesting thing here, which I remember being taught, and you may notice when I'm doing that, it's not all in the wrist, it's actually in the elbow. I kind of exhale and use, my arms actually kept quite rigid with that shape in there. A normal pattern would have a step there and something like an armhole like that. It would come really forward and deep. Ours is a different kettle of fish there, as you can see. In that armhole, 37 inches, which is pretty shallow. Now then, I move that around and I'll try to look for a nice balance. We'll mark this with side points. 13.5. Slant on there. Mark the side slits. Get my button positions. In an ideal world, of course, it is sheer coincidence, but good spacing here should be bringing these in together. You want a coat to fasten into your waist, alright? I'm going to jump off set for a second, so just hold on on my stick. This is the only time I use a stick when I draft a pattern. And I remember Mr. Hortonbury telling me very clearly, it's the only time we're allowed to do it, and it's the break line. Which is effectively how the lapels break. Okay, now as you know, rolls pretty well through. Little gorge which is kept quite high. Point slanted on there. A little secret for all the people that try to copy our work. All of the patterns are like that. And they look awful. So there you are, I've told you now, you can copy them. We have a much more, people can't understand why it looks more relaxed here. It's because of the slope of the gorge and the height of it. Get our lapel width in there. And that. Nice soft bit of belly on the lapel. And cut that away. Okay, so it's just getting nice lines into things. Alright? Not try to think too hard. Remember the saying, practice makes imperfect. Alright? Now you're all saying, my God, he charges nearly £3,000 for a suit, he just sketches it down. That's something an artist would do on the back of a beer mat or something. And I suppose in some respects you could say it's true. But to be fair, there's 27 years of learning to get to this point. My hand, by the way, is the perfect width for an out breast pocket. This chap's a little bit narrow, so the measurement in there. Chest area, front dart, fishtail. Suppression there, we want it. Okay. And this spacing in between. I think I'm getting stage fright there. Alright. Then I start just to look at the thing. I just look, this is the waist, okay, so that inner line is what I want there. Get those corners, those quarters cut away. Get a good bit of shape into that lapel so that when she folds back, we've got that nice curve dropping in there. And I look at my balance and something tells me that this pattern is a tad short in the back. It is. Not 3/16, not an awful lot. And that point needs to raise to there. That waist needs to come up a tad. That needs to come up a tad. Reduce that slope. Alright, get my corner back in. And I'm glad that's gone up because I actually want to get a bit more shape into that armhole. Alright. Now that is actually looking quite nice, I think. And I don't know if you can see it, but I'll just show you something else. We'll just chop that now. Now what I usually do is I'll draft a pattern like this, punch it, mark it up, then I'll hang it on a peg. And when I come to cut the cloth, I'll then have another look at it. Because you can imagine the way we draft something like that, if I've had a good day, I'll do a better pattern like everybody else. Or if I've not had such a good day, I might not do as nice a pattern. So I'll let it all cool down a little bit. Okay. Now obviously there's the sleeve and the waistcoat and the trousers and all the rest of it. But I don't want to bore you to death. There's my fullest point on the waist, out right there on that lapel. Bingo. Okay, now then. There we have a typical English cut, Anderson inspired, I guess, pattern. Tiny little armhole. You can see no side bodies, of course. Alright, and that goes into there, gives us that lovely, neat egg shape. Alright, and for those of you who have absolutely no idea, that is a 4-part, which kind of is that type of thing. Alright, so there you go. There was a 2-minute lesson in drafting a pattern, Rockabye. Couple of updates for you. The new made to measure service has started, all right, and our first date in the diary is the 16th of this month, which is next Friday. All right, so we're taking appointments for that day, but I think the diary is pretty full because there were people, but we'll post that properly on the website. And I shall be in London every couple of weeks. The bespoke is just carrying on exactly the same as it was before. We have a new home in London, okay, which is 11 St George Street, and again the pictures and the details will be on the website, and that will be our permanent home for the bespoke and for the new made to measure. And we're also having a launch party on the 22nd of September, and that's at this very posh club in Berkeley Square called Mahon's. And although I would love you all to come along, there just quite simply isn't the room, and it's for the media and fashion people anyway, so you probably wouldn't want to come. But if you are in our business and you'd like to have a look at our new range, which I think we're pretty proud of, drop me a line and we'll see if we can get you in there. And that's about it really. We're all busy, we'll hope you well. I hope you enjoyed that. Any questions, please drop me a line and I'll try to answer them. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.